Nepal's breathtaking beauty, from the iconic Mount Everest to world-class rapids and incredible wildlife, has attracted tourists from all over the world.
Look at this prettiness.
The nature-based tourism industry has revitalized many agrarian communities impacted by climate change and become a crucial livelihood alternative.
And it has provided many economic opportunity especially in the higher altitude, which is mostly affected by the climate change.
They're trying to adapt to climate change by going to tourism. I feel like tourism is a byproduct of climate change.
But tourism itself isn't free from climate change impacts.
Tourism has a great future in Nepal, but climate change can directly affect tourism.
And while tourism brought with it the promise of a new future and a solution to climate stresses, it's also brought urgent challenges of its own. Tourism is rapidly transforming the lives of so many Nepalis.
And without these jobs, our people cannot send their kids to good school, give their children nutritious food, all of that.
Lomantang, where there used to be only 4 or 5 hotels before 2010, in 2018 there are almost 30 hotels. If you have a hotel, now you are considered successful.
I mean, river tourism was great. Like, we were making really good money. We were really well respected.
The Everest region completely relies on tourism. It also opened the eyes of the Sherpas to the rest of the world.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic, tourism had become Nepal's 4th largest industry, according to a government survey. But it hasn't always been around.
Tourism is a new industry in the region. People have traditionally subsisted on agriculture, livestock, or petty trade.
My great-grandfather, he was a farmer, and when there was no farming, he had to take his horses and his yaks and go to Tibet and trade.
These agrarian communities were especially vulnerable to the impacts of climate change and water insecurity.
Then tourists came, and it brought a lot of income into the region.
Locals were able to cash in on the region's natural beauty, helping them cope with faltering crops and livestock.
Adopting tourism-oriented businesses as a livelihood is an adaptation mechanism.
But climate change is also threatening the tourism industry itself.
I'm part of the Sherpa community, and the Sherpas are world famous for taking mountaineers or tourists up Mount Everest. We literally see our mountains changing in front of our own eyes.
There is a permanent decrease in snowfall and snow cover. The mountains are not that much white that used to be in the past.
Every year it's just getting darker and darker. And I remember our cook, he was like, next year I'm going to lead an expedition to paint Everest white.
Now, these glaciers are melting very fast. And not only is it having an impact on tourism because all our trekking routes and our climbing routes are changing and making them more dangerous, also our water sources are dying out or dwindling.
There are also sudden disasters to contend with.
These kind of extreme events, I'm talking about flood and all this, they're happening more intensely and more frequently as a result of climate change, which means more obstruction in the business.
Climatic factors are driving more casualties, or it is affecting more tourism in the area. And in October of 2014,
43 people are now known to have died after a snowstorm brought blizzards to the Annapurna Trail in the Himalayas.
But while climate change is threatening tourism, tourism itself also poses a threat to the environment.
If you have to address the changing climate, you have to think of all the different environmental impact of tourism that might occur in the area. There is high flow of tourists, and if we have no management in the area, there is a lot of waste being seen.
This could disturb natural habitats, wildlife, and the larger ecosystem.
The other direct environmental impact is the scarcity of water. We have tourists who are demanding fresh shower, laundries. I think one tourist would consume as much as 10 local people.
And tourism has brought with it a wave of infrastructure development that's been harmful to nature.
So now they want more tourists, they want to build more hotels, they want to have more business. For them, they need motor roads. Development works botch nature, basically. One of the reasons why the floods are becoming more consequential is because we are using all the sand, rocks, for construction, and the riverbeds are weak. It's definitely impacting the landscape. the ecology or the ecosystem.
And on the other hand, infrastructure development can be detrimental to tourism itself. River tourism, for example.
But human destruction is actually the biggest threat. So there are more livelihood by the rivers. So they're using more water, they're polluting the water. And then the other major factor of hampering tourism is the large hydropowers. We all want development and we need the electricity, right? So we cannot say dam is bad, but at the same time, we are losing the rivers. And if we go on the same speed, I would say within 5 to 10 years, we will have no rivers left. There won't be any future for whitewater rafting or tourism, river tourism in Nepal.
Tourism and the environment deeply impact each other here. And without understanding the link between the two, the future of either could be at stake.
But what we are doing is educating our young generations and kind of like injecting them the love of river. And at the same time, we're also teaching them, right? Like, why is river important? And we believe that this is the way to combat.
In order to nurture sustainable tourism, more research has to be done on climate impacts.
Tourism and climate research awareness is very low. The topic climate change and tourism that need to be researched a lot, especially in the risky area.
And what tourism might even look like should be reconsidered.
We have to focus more on adventure tourism, which will less likely depend upon the climate, more on community-based homestay tourism, so that your whole community will benefit. Quality tourism, so that tourists can enjoy, they can pay money, they can pay for what they pollute.
And people and businesses are already leading by example.
Since 2008, I've been cleaning up on Mount Everest. We've got over 23 tons of garbage off of Everest and other 8,000 meter peaks so far. And my grandfather used to say the mountains have always protected the Sherpa people. The Sherpa people now have to protect the mountains. We need to look after the mountains, just as they have looked after us.